Right, welcome to the Compliance Weekly for the 14th of June. And the first item is to go through the closed issues that we've got. And I think we've got a few to go through. So I'll share my screen. Oh, and you should be able to see them now. And the last one that we discussed was the password controller. So the next one was the compliance framework form. And this was just adding some accessible names to the elements in there. So that's gone through, which will make the screen readers work properly. The next one up is include merged MR deletion in UI and streamed order logs with Hasima.
Yeah, so in this issue, we wanted to add some extra details when we are deleting a merged MR. So this is a new audit event and includes information like who committed and who deleted and who merged them.
Great. And you got the next one as well.
Yeah, and next one is, so basically we added a logger. It logs event type name whenever we don't have a YAML file defined for that particular audit event. And now we are using this logger to actually catch all the audit events which don't have a YAML and add the YAML and then start showing error.
Okay, I got half of that.
Yeah, is my voice not coming properly?
Yeah, it's sort of coming in and out a little bit for me.
Yeah, I think your mic must be like directional, because whenever you kind of like turn your head, like it goes away. So
Okay, I think let me check that.
yeah, like when your head is facing to your right, we can hear it. When it's facing to your left, or I don't know if Zoom flips the camera, we can't hear it. So
The next one is the API endpoint to retrieve all audit events under a given group. With
API endpoint to retrieve all. Did you just close this one?
No, this one's been closed for a while.
I feel like this is the one we were just talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe it was closed because all the work is done. Oh yeah, and it was validated. Yeah, so this is behind a feature flag in production, but for reasons that, if anyone's curious, I'm going to write an update. We're going to remove it and kind of rethink either an alternative strategy or pushing it off until ClickHouse is done. So basically the short version is, because of the partitioning of the audit events table, it's very difficult to run these kind of queries, and the database team doesn't think there's a real way to do it without significantly changing the structure of the way we store audit events in the database. So it's done behind a feature flag, but not really working.
Okay. The next one was just to remove add compliance frameworks for personal namespaces. So compliance frameworks don't work for personal namespace projects, but it's still asked for users to add them. So this was just to remove that for now until we work out the strategy forward. The next one was create an API for listing available audit event types with you, Michael, as well.
Yeah, so basically just created a GraphQL endpoint that kind of hooks into, we already had like the library helper that reads all the definitions from the YAML file. So it basically just hooks into that and converts them to JSON and spits them out in GraphQL. So that's done, though I think maybe it's not even being used now. I think the feature it was for is now using HAML injection. So, but it's done, so it's there.
Cool. Next one was don't create or project settings order event when there is no change. That was with Josefa, and this is a continuation of the work that we're doing. I'm pretty sure Josefa has checked it and there wasn't a duplicate event. The next one was a bug with the compliance report filter area, just UX updates to, I guess, align it a little bit better with all of the recent work we were doing, bringing all of the compliance features together. So that's looking a lot nicer. I can show you that one. So yeah, now it looks like this, a lot tighter and neater in there. The next one was the design for the adherence report. So yeah, the design has been finalized, all questions done, and the implementation planning complete. So we're into the development side of that one. Don't create approval settings for order events when there is no change. Hasima?
Yeah, for this one, is one of those issues where we have to verify if there are no duplicate audit events being created. So I just verified it locally, and also in the code we have guard conditions there not to create duplicate audit. Yep, and the next one is audit events for removed SSH keys. So this again I try to reproduce locally, and on unlicensed E instance there are no audit events related to of SSH key. And also I verified in the code for removing SSH key is written in E directory only. So I just close the issue and ask author if there is still any concerns around it. They can open it.
Right. And the next three issues are all to do with documentation of the new instance level streaming audit events, which will be coming shortly. Hitesh has done a massive update to the documentation, and that's all been completed for both the API and the UI. And the final one was adding a section to the admin settings for instance level streaming audit events. So this was completed, the front end. The back end has all been done in the previous milestone, and this was just adding the UI for it. And that's behind a feature flag at the moment, so hopefully we can release that soon as well.
For that first one in verification, you can just drag that over. It hasn't been verified yet by someone else, but I verified it. Also, migrations already run in production, and we didn't get paged, so I guess that's good enough verification. And I'm already building on top of that column, so it's there. There's a column.
Great. All right, there's a couple more in verification, but we'll wait for next week. The next thing is just to go through the plan and just see where we're at with compared to what our goals were. And the first one was the instance level streaming order events. And Hitesh, good morning. You want to give us a quick update on this?
Yeah, good morning. So in this, all the MRs for instance level streaming audit events, for setting them and updating and managing them are already deployed behind a feature flag. Events are being emitted to external destinations. Now the streaming headers MRs are under review or either deployed. So 2 of them are under review, under final review. So yeah, this is about to get completed.
Fantastic. And Josefa was next with the adherence report, but it's not here. Is anyone else? And I think Jay is away this week as well. Has been working on it. So we'll skip over that. As mentioned last week with the compliance framework report, that is now on hold for a little bit until we work out what the next steps are. Blocking merge requests, Jay is away. Next is the audit event performance limits with Hasima.
Yeah, for this I was working on a script which will actually compare data between Postgres and ClickHouse, which we can use by giving input of SQLs, and then we can convert our code-based SQLs into ClickHouse SQLs. So that project is now, I have pushed that project on GitLab and can start working on query analysis. Next is also with me, which is audit event type schema definition. So here we have whatever list we had by actually digging up the code, we have completed it. And we also have a new logger in production, which is logging all the missing audit events. So the next step is just to monitor that logger, and after completing all the audit events, just add the error message.
Mike, I know you've given us a quick update just before with the API, but is there anything else you wanted to add here?
Not really.
Next one was the violation report export with Sam, and I believe that he's got a merge request up and into review, or in the initial stages of review. So hopefully that will make it into 16.1 as well. The next one was the replace the drop-down selection for default branches with you, Mike.
Yeah, so that first issue is done, which was adding the column. I'm working on the second issue, which is basically hooking the existing default branch protection value whenever that gets updated, also updating the new column, which will, hopefully make it so that when eventually we do the backfill, there will be less the backfill, and also just kind of keeps them in sync for the time being. And then, so that one, the updating the new column whenever the old column is updated, is in draft. Just working on the specs for it. So it should be fully in review pretty soon. Yeah.
Right. And the next one is the streaming audit events to Google Cloud logging with Hasima.
Yeah, so this one is backend part for this is done. Just waiting for the verification, then we can close the issue.
Fantastic. And Elia was working on the group level settings for merge request approval push rules. So he was creating a plan for this, which he has added to the epic itself. But there is a little bit of, we're just trying to align with the create group and a few other groups around how this is going to work properly. So there's just a bit of conversation happening in there before we can start into the work itself, hopefully next milestone. That was it from the planning issue. Mark, did you want to give us an update on from a QA perspective?
Yeah, sure. So I'm trying to finish up a new end-to-end test for streaming audit events. Had it all set up. The configuration for the mocking server that I'm using is new to me. It's not quite what I expected. So I should get that sorted out sometime tomorrow, hopefully, and have an MR ready for review. Yeah, a couple of days.
Right. And then next up on the agenda is just to go through the release post items, which I've got here. So there's currently 2 that we have in our list for 16.1, which is the instance level streaming, which as we just discussed is touch and go. And the next one is the event type information for streaming audit events, and it doesn't look like this one's going to make it, but it's very close, so I'll push that out to 16 too. But there is, I think, 3 or 4 other things that we need to get release posts for, which were the compliance framework report export, the compliance violations export, the option to allow force pushes to protected branches. So yeah, we need to get release posts created for those 3 as well. Is there anything else that anyone can think of? No? Great. The next item was the OKR updates. Hasima, you've got one.
Yeah. So this update is same about that. I created that project where we can compare the audit events data between Postgres and ClickHouse. I have updated the OKR progress to 50%.
Sorry, was that to 50%?
Yeah, 50%.
Cool. And then the next was just with me. So I'm pinged everyone in the issues and stuff, but there's been a few training items that we need to just tick off. One around self-managed stops, neurodiversity training, and the AI education training. So please have a look at those items and just make your way through it as you can. All right, was there anything else anyone wanted to discuss? I'll stop the recording then.